What's going on, 5-9 Gaming crew? Lethal went up here, and guys, welcome back to another 5-9 Gaming Weekly Wrap. This series where we go ahead and we talk about the gaming news that just happened this past week. And I got 4 pieces of news on the agenda, along with some new stuff to kind of mention today. And I'm not going to talk about Pokemon in this because we've already covered Pokemon. Go watch our video over on the 5-9 Gaming channel. We covered everything about it. It looks really good. I mean, you can even toss in here your thoughts about it because, you know, I watched it, of course. And I'm really hyped for Legends Arceus. Or Legends Arceus, because I say Arceus and they pronounce it Arceus, I think. So I'm gonna just toss that out there. But and again, just drop your comments down below if anything. But this week we got some other news to talk about. One of which I'm actually kind of surprised about, and one of which I'm definitely excited to talk about. So I guess without further ado, let's just kind of jump into this. But before we start talking about the news, let me tell you guys the games that released this week. There's going to be Road 96 that dropped on Switch and PC on the 16th of August. There's Humankind that dropped on PC August 17th. Marvel's Avengers War for Wakanda. Listen, I'm hyped for it because I still play that game. Crucify me, do what you want to do. I still enjoy dabbling into that whenever there's a cool update that I'm excited for. The War for Wakanda, Black Panther, sign me up. That dropped on August 17th on all the platforms. There's going to be Young Souls dropping on Stadia August 17th. Quake, which we're going to talk about too, a remaster that dropped. We'll talk about it a little bit later though. There's also Recompile for PlayStation 5, Series X and S on PC. That was August 19th. There's The Veil, Shadow of the Crown, Xbox One, PC August 19th. 12 Minutes finally had its big debut. Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC. I can tell you guys right now, a lot of reviews dropped for that game that I saw, and so to my surprise, it was a big mix. Some people that were like, oh, this is really great. Some people that were like, they don't know what the game was trying to go for. It was too complicated and whatnot. So there was a pretty big debate on that one. So if you guys played it, give me your thoughts about that one. And then there's Madden NFL 2022 that dropped for PlayStation 5, Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Stadia, PC. Again, just all the platforms. That was on the 20th, and then the other one on the 20th. And again, there's other games I didn't mention. Just go check them out or let me know down below. But then the big one, or at least for me personally, you guys know me as the PlayStation guy, right? Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut did drop for the PlayStation 5, and also the upgrades and the expansion did drop on the PlayStation 4. So now we can officially jump into the very first news story. That is a new Metroid report is in. This is from the official Nintendo website. I'm going to kind of briefly just kind of go over all the stuff that they talked about in these reports. I've been kind of telling you guys for a while now that Nintendo has just been giving Metroid a ton of love. And again, we're loving it over here on the 5-9 side. And so this is pretty hype. And they've been dropping these reports periodically, kind of just detailing the history, I guess, of the 2D Metroid games, which is still upsetting that we don't have anything in terms of like being able to play the last games, right? Or just be able to play the entire 2D games on Switch. You kind of only get access to, I think it's like 2 of them through like the through the SNES library and everything. So it's all over the place, but at least they're kind of dropping these reports and they're again just highlighting the game a lot, because if they see the sales for Metroid Dread do really good, that could mean, you know, we just get those games eventually, right? Who knows? Maybe they're dropping September. The game does release in October, so honestly, who knows? But that's beyond the point. Let's talk about this latest report that came in. This was the news report, volume number 5. Basically, Nintendo briefly mentioned Samus Aran's history, how she was brought in and rescued by this bird-like race called the Chozo. They then kind of went down and talked about the various weapons that Samus' suit can produce. You're going to see the return of the missiles, the armed cannon, the grapple beam, and then they kind of reminded fans of some of the abilities that will make a return, like the Morph Ball, the various jumping abilities. They then kind of go into a bit more detail about Samus being able to tap into this new mystical energy called Aeon, which is kind of like it allows temporary use of certain abilities. Now, the one that they highlighted in volume number 5, which is the report I'm talking about, the one they kind of went into just a little bit, is they highlighted the ability of the Phantom Cloak, which blankets Samus in an optical camouflage to render her invisible. Now, while using this standing still, you'll slowly deplete your reserve Aeon energy. Meanwhile, you can also move camouflage, but by doing that, it's going to cost a greater amount of Aeon energy. And when not in use, her reserve automatically regenerates over time, which is pretty cool. Again, they then remind fans that the story is going to be going into the next story, which is Metroid Dread. And that they're talking about, now that we're going into Metroid Dread, what was the last thing that kind of happened that was leading up into it? and it talked a little bit about the X Parasite, which, if you didn't know, the last game, Fusions, basically that was like the birth or the origin of the X Parasite and what that did. And pretty much they kind of brought back and said like, hey, this game is going into pretty much a story about the X Parasite potentially coming back and potentially being a thing again, because it was all thought that it was destroyed in the last game, that it was gone, and pretty much all that stuff. And then they ended the report by saying, hey, we're gonna promise to talk about apparently the various Samus suits that you're gonna see in this game, because they did drop a trailer. And in this trailer, you do get a kind of like the OG looking just power suit that has like the orange, and there's kind of like that newer tint that has like the blue on it, which looks very cool. Like for me, a little bit kind of reminiscent a little bit of the Fusion's armor. So I'm really excited to see more about that, because that's what they're promising in the next report. On top of that, again, they did drop a trailer, so definitely go check out that new trailer. The game just looks gorgeous. Honestly, it doesn't give too much. It's more of just a little bit of a teaser. But then they did promise at the very end of the report that an upcoming game trailer on August 27th will be happening. Literally, I had nothing but hype for this game. There's like not a single concern I have. If anything, the biggest concern that I do have is the fact that it's a big bummer that some fans are not going to be able to play the OG games unless you go through the potential emulation, all that stuff. But if not that, you have to go through maybe getting a Game Boy, right, to play some of these past games. Or if you can get a Wii U, the Wii U has the ability to play some of these past games too. So it's a mess. So I really hope they do drop a collection of sorts on the Nintendo Switch, because if they do that, that is mega hype. And they've been talking about Metroid Prime stuff for a minute too, but again, we'll see. Now jumping into story number 2. I don't even know how to say this, but a Skyrim Anniversary Edition. It's coming, and I hope you guys are excited, because I'm sure you guys wanted this, right? Now I'm getting this information from the official Bethesda website. Basically, it says Skyrim Anniversary Edition is being announced, launching on November the 11th. You can upgrade the Special Edition to the Anniversary Edition if you choose so. There's going to be free next-gen upgrades, which is a plus. It's pretty cool. And if you guys are excited, I don't know if this is the big thing, because I haven't seen too much, but fishing is getting added to Skyrim. I feel like that's supposed to be like a big kind of like highlight feature. But again, if you guys are hyped for this, there you go. Fishing is being added into Skyrim. On top of all that, you can see included content of the Creation Club that will feature over 500 pieces of content, from quests to bosses to weapons to spells, just a bunch of different things, which is pretty cool. I know people are talking about some of that stuff might be some mod based things too, so if you're in the modding community for Skyrim, I guess the Creation Club might have some of those things, so maybe go check that out. And then you can also expect to see the Dragonborn, Dawnguard, and Hearthfire official add-ons. I found this is really funny. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm not gonna probably look into this too much. I've had my time with Skyrim. After the second time, I think that's it. I'm done. I'm ready for the next Elder Scrolls game, but I guess who knows when we'll get that. I'm afraid that like Skyrim is just gonna keep us going until God knows how long. But this is pretty funny. This is from Job Muncher over on Twitter. This is a Twitter user. They pretty much said Skyrim just overtook Resident Evil 4 on re-releases. Pretty much, I guess I'll go through it. They named it and said Resident Evil 4 released on PC, Wii, PS2, GameCube, PS3, 360, Xbox One, PS4, Switch, and then it had, I guess, the Ultra HD on PC. And then there's the VR, and it was like a total of like 11. And then Skyrim, on the other hand, had the regular Skyrim was 360, PC, PS3, Switch, Skyrim Special Edition, PS4, Xbox One, PC, Skyrim Anniversary now, PS5, Xbox Series S, PC, Xbox One, and PS4. Dude, there's too many. It's crazy. It's a total of 12. Let me know if you're gonna be hopping in on this, because it's just nuts, honestly. Jumping into story number 3. This one was actually the big one that I was mentioning, was kind of a shocker to me. Xbox Series X is getting a 4K dashboard, which I didn't know they didn't have that. This is coming from The Verge from Tom Warren, basically stating this. A lot of this is just being kind of a paraphrase from the actual article. Microsoft is starting to test a new higher resolution dashboard for the Xbox Series X starting today. Xbox insiders in the alpha and alpha skip ahead rings will get access to the increased resolution for the Xbox dashboard later today, which was back in, this was, I believe, a couple days ago. Let me see. Designed to improve the UI elements for 4K displays. Now, pretty much this is meaning you're going to see some changes to the home, the guide, and some other areas of the UI that will be displayed in higher native resolution to increase their sharpness and text readability. Until this new dashboard, Xbox Series X consoles had been running dashboard UI elements at 1080p, which I honestly did not know. While Microsoft mentions a higher native resolution for certain elements, it doesn't appear that the entire dashboard is in 4K yet. Again, it's not like the biggest bummer in the world. It's not even that big of a deal. But for some people, they were kind of cracking on it and being like, man, PlayStation 5 literally has a complete dashboard that's in 4K. And not just that, they've had something like that, I guess, since the PS4 Pro. So I think that's something that's interesting. But again, it's not the biggest deal, but it's kind of interesting to see that like they're just getting that stuff now. So I guess that's great for Xbox users, especially the new current gen Xbox users that are getting the new consoles that have those 4K displays. Listen, I've had like, you know, if anybody who's in the PC space that has like stuff that might not be like 4K or it's like only in 1080p, the app is running at 1080p, you can kind of see like the text is a lot smaller, a little bit harder to read, like there is stuff like that. So something like this is, I think, a major big thing for anybody, again, who has the current Xbox consoles and is going to get a 4K display. This is a much needed thing, so it's good that it's at least going to be happening. And so, you know, that's the plus for that, really. And then the final piece of news that I have for you guys is, for anybody who's a fan of Quake, it's getting a remaster, and apparently this was a surprise that nobody saw coming. Kind of a bit of a shadow drop, actually. Now I'm getting this from Nibelian over on Twitter with a bunch of just little like quick things to note for the actual Quake Remaster. The game will release on Switch, PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X, Series S for $10 US currency. And then Nibelian's tweet pretty much said, basically on the current gen, sorry Switch guys, there's going to be up to 4K, widescreen resolution support, enhanced models, new lighting, anti-aliasing, original soundtrack, includes the original expansions and a new one by Machine Games, local and online multiplayer, and the Quake Remaster will also support crossplay with all platforms, which is pretty dope. And there's also going to be an xCloud support for, again, Game Pass Ultimate members, and there's going to be some mods as well. Now, again, I didn't really play Quake before, so maybe I'll get into it for $10, I guess, for US currency. That's not that bad. I might actually go look into it. I was thinking about getting it for Switch, but then it's like, maybe do I want to try to get like, you know, the 4K resolution for Xbox, or not, well, not Xbox One for me, but for PS5 or something like that. It sucks when you see a lot of these cool new things that they added, but you know, Switch will only get so many of those new things. At least Switch is going to get the crossplay support though, so that's pretty cool to be able to play the online with some of your friends that are on the PlayStation and the Xbox ecosystems. And guys, before we close out, we're going to add in also a little bit of a new segment, and we're going to go ahead and look at a quick just 2 games that are coming out next week that I want you guys to keep your eyes out for. And of course, we'll go over all the new games that drop next week, but just look out for these 2. Psychonauts 2 is dropping on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, and PC. If you have Game Pass, make sure you have Game Pass, at least for Psychonauts 2 fans, because you're going to be able to play that on Game Pass. And that is on August 25th. And this is a big one for Switch. And I need to play this series because I've always heard about it. I've always wanted to play it, just never had a chance to. But that is No More Heroes 3, releasing on August 27th. Keep an eye out for those 2. But guys, that is the weekly wrap video for this week. Again, give me your thoughts, anything that I've missed, that I've messed up, let me know down below. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the very new 59 Gaming Direct YouTube channel. Again, let us know down below your thoughts on everything. And thank you guys for watching. I am Lethal1Up, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.